We have your last night's HOH results, the nominees that were put on the block today, Morgan's conversation with Vince regarding condoms, and some code chat between Venmo over their October plans. It's Belinda. Please select subscribe. Come on, let's get into this mess. Before we get on to HOH and the rest, I just wanted to add that the entire montage of Vince's aches, pains, and cramps in the past show made me think that he might be dealing with some extremely bad PMS. I wish we could send items into the home, like in Hunger Games. For heaven's sake, I would give Vince a menstruation cup, a heating pad, some chocolate, and a bottle of Maydel. As frail as he appears, he wheezes like a frivolous Victorian woman wearing a corset. Vince is the new HOH after he won the endurance competition last night. So, if you haven't seen it yet, that little spoiler is out early. Morgan's HOH was during the double, which makes it kind of crazy. Therefore, she was not even given the room. And with Morgan clearly present, Vince essentially spends 2 weeks in a row residing in the house's best room. And you know what? Last night, she was once more in the HOH bed. The pillow wall appears to be disintegrating, but they are sleeping head to foot. Additionally, there was some conversation between them last night that left the fan base questioning whether Vince and Morgan have committed to a final two in real life as opposed to just on Big Brother. We're going to go into what transpired Thursday night following the HOH competition and today before the nominations before discussing what they said. I'd like to add this. James Gunn appeals to me. Ardent admirer of his movies. However, there is a widespread notion that they are replacing our live broadcasts with beta testing. Keanu, who believes he is completely safe and won't go on the block whatever of the outcome of the next HOH, was among the pre-MP discussion that ensued after the DE and Lauren left for their homes. Keanu even admitted on camera that he wasn't sure if he wanted to try to win this week's HOH. Rachel was absent to provide Keanu with a brief explanation. Thus poor Keanu was misled. Even less than usual, he knows. He's my love, but wow. The worst reads on the house are Keanu's. Morgan and Vince have him as their main target. Morgan, however, is Keanu's target this week since he wants the Beanie Baby to be abandoned. He will therefore need to cuddle with Keanu. Vince actually told Ava that he wants to spend the last two with her or Ashley because he's playing his own game now. Come on, era painting scammer Ava is aware that it is a hoax. Vince even spoke with Ava whether he would become a bad person if he nominated Morgan and Keanu together. No, it would make you a wise person, Vince. Place the two most dangerous people in the house on the block. Take action. Naturally, though, he won't. I believe he could ultimately be defeated by both Morgan and Keanu. Additionally, Ashley and Ava believed that Keanu would not nominate them. Thus they were both cheering for him to win HOH. It is believed that he would place Vince next to Morgan. Last night before the MP, Keanu went to tell Vince that everyone agreed Morgan should leave, especially because she had just evicted Lauren. By the way, the feeds were following folks as they left the endurance HOH competition on Thursday night, which we witnessed. Thus, it resembled the janky HOH comp from BB26 getting burned in week 9. On that one, they were required to hold a marshmallow somewhat squeezed against a small pole with a stick. This time, they were playing in a medieval-style room that was lighted by candles. They were brandishing swords and clutching a little shield against the device in the center of the room. You simply needed to maintain the pressure. On Big Brother social media, I did notice some people grumbling about an upper body comp that unjustly singles out women at this point in the game. However, this identical competition was won by Leah Peters in BB26. Therefore, women would not necessarily lose this. But the women didn't say goodbye to this companion at all. According to reports, Ava fell. She was conversing with Morgan, who was downstairs because she couldn't play as outgoing HOH after a few minutes, but I wasn't timing her precisely. Ashley was the next to be eliminated. Then there were Keanu and Vince, of course. After a brief lull, the feeds returned, revealing Vince as the week's new HOH and Keanu in second. Should Keanu allow Vince to have this, it will undoubtedly come back to haunt him. If my memory serves me correctly, the letter wasn't from Kelsey, and there were no photos of her in his previous HOH. Vince went inside this HOH room. This is happening once more. This time, the letter comes from Vince's father, and it's fascinating to note that it was allegedly only a few lines long. I am aware that families occasionally switch off who writes the letters. I don't know, but this might have been prearranged. Last night, Vince decided that if he had to nominate someone, he would nominate Ashley, Ava, and Keanu. Ashley was captured on camera discussing her plans to run for the veto, win it, defeat Keanu, and then push Vince to renom Morgan so they could vote her out. Ashley is aware that this would be a boss move, but she began to second-guess the idea right away because she believes that no one will get her to the final 3, leaving her in 4th place. I believe it to be the case everywhere. I'm not sure how this plan would harm her in real life. It appears that the risk might be worthwhile. Vince informed Keanu in advance that he would nominate him. Keanu then inquired, "What if I win veto?" To which Vince replied, "Well, then I'll ream Morgan." Vince is lying, therefore. He is promoting the idea that he may be planning to backdoor Morgan. It simply won't be in the Big Brother game, in my opinion, since it's obvious that Keanu can't leave him. He made a comprehensive breakback appeal to get Vince to pick him. "I'm literally telling you the way to beat me," he said to Vince. "How impartial could that be? This is your only chance to avoid being a lock for 2nd place," he said to Vince. "I'm giving you the test answers," Keanu added. "You never pay attention to me at all. For once, pick me." Well, just a little update on the Vince-Morgan condoms and making out discussion that has been a major topic of discussion today. You may have noticed these mentions if you follow Big Brother on social media. In an attempt to stop Vince from talking about them, Morgan first announced that she would be sleeping in the train compartment. However, because Morgan was up in Vince's bed again last night and they were up quite late, that Chu left the station without her on board. Condoms are available in the storage room and the HOH room, according to Morgan. On his way out the door, Jimmy opened the box and took one Trojan to stir the pot. In addition, Morgan was making fun of Vince for being the person Keanu makes out with at the gym during the making out conversation. "What else are Vince and Keanu doing for that long if they aren't making out?" she said after claiming that Vince had spent 90 minutes with Keanu inside. That was essentially a non-issue. However, it was Vince and Morgan's mysterious conversation about choices late last night that really got fans excited. Vince mentioned that he had something important to share with Morgan that she wouldn't like, but it will have to wait until October, when BB27 is finished, of course. According to my theory, Vince is stating that he will end his relationship with Kelsey on her behalf. Naturally, the feeds kept cutting them short throughout this late-night conversation in the HOH room, but they were discussing what they were referring to as option 1. Morgan also wanted to know Vince's thoughts on the matter. So he's in bed talking to Morgan. Under the blanket, it appeared that Vince was touching her legs. Additionally, he said to Morgan, "I'm going to go crazy." "Why?" Morgan asks. Vince sort of says, "Are you mad at me?" he then asks. The atmosphere was flirtatious throughout. I will refrain from using flirtatious voices. I will not pretend that Beanie Baby is flirting with Morgan. In any case, she claimed that she was simply perplexed since, for apparent reasons, she didn't believe the first choice was even conceivable. Morgan added, "Is he trying to game me right now?" as her question. "Oh my gosh, is that why you're hanging out up here right now?" Vince asked. "You're attempting to trick me." And they were laughing and chuckling together. According to Morgan, "At first, you seem stressed. And I thought, I'm not sure, is this a tactic?" Many people are therefore curious as to whether option 1 involves him and Morgan having a love relationship outside of the house. The second option is for them to remain friends exclusively after this. Additionally, Morgan may have been referring to the girlfriend when she stated that she didn't believe it was a possibility for her and Vince for apparent reasons. The fact that Vince and Morgan were by themselves in the room is another reason I believe this was a private conversation about life choices rather than the Big Brother game. Therefore, they wouldn't have been cryptic with choice 1, option 2, or code phrases if it had been about gameplay. They would have simply discussed the game as if they had the entire thing. Because they weren't talking about games explicitly, I thought, okay, maybe there's something there. Okay, let us secure those nominations. The feeds dropped and then returned. Vince put Keanu on the block, which has him unhappy. Ava will be irritated that Vinny the Lit put her on the block, even if she anticipated this. Therefore, the veto is scheduled for Saturday, and the veto meeting is expected to take place on Monday. There is a report, though, that feeds will be suspended until Wednesday due to an additional eviction. I mean, I suppose there would be a riot, but since the production has been so bad this season, don't expect the best. Okay, that's it. To find out more about Morgan and Vince, if Keanu still believes they are brothers, the fallout from the nominations, and the October option, check back soon. I appreciate your devotion as a listener. Don't miss the next episode, so follow us wherever you get your podcast. Soap Dirt is available on all of the main podcasting services, such as iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and others.